Hey everyone, it's Ekayani Chamberlin, your health and lifestyle coach out of Greenpoint, Brooklyn. And today I wanted to talk about vitamin D and the importance of vitamin D. And what inspired me to do this was that yesterday I was reading an article in an international newspaper in the In Brief section, in the wellness section, that I felt, really was misleading and was not very informative. Sometimes a little bit of knowledge can be a dangerous thing, or only reporting on some of the knowledge or not knowing it at all. So one of my pet peeves is journalists who pick a speciality but actually don't do enough time, give enough time to do research. So as far as vitamin D goes and the so-called controversy about it, vitamin D is something absolutely essential that we need for our health, for our immune system. Is protecting us against cancer, depression, respiratory illnesses. The person who wrote the article claimed that, quote, no one knew how much vitamin D that the human being needs. Well, I think it would have been more accurate to say that he didn't know. And also I felt that the, doctor that was quoted could have gone a little bit more in depth. Again, the section is aptly titled In Brief. So today I wanted to read something to you. Let me just pull this up for you, because sometimes the best way is just to cut right to the chase. So there's actually a series of clinical studies and trials that have been published very recently on the positive effects of vitamin D. And this one is entitled, High vitamin D levels are associated with a decreased risk of all-cause and specific mortality risk. In a new large review of observational studies, an international team of researchers uncovered a reduction in the risk of premature death in association with the use of vitamin D3 supplements. Vitamin D supplementation is known to benefit conditions associated with the skeletal system, such as rickets, fractures, and falls, as well as a large range of diseases including multiple sclerosis, MS, autoimmune disorders, infections, cardiovascular diseases, and certain cancers. Non-skeletal benefits of vitamin D supplementation are still currently being debated in many cases. In a new meta-analysis published in the British Medicine Journal, researchers analyzed the possible association between a higher blood level of vitamin D and a reduced risk of all vitamin D cause mortality. The review included 73 observational population studies. 73 observational population studies. The review included 73 observational population studies that reported vitamin D serum levels and the cause of death among 849,412 men and women over a follow-up period of up to 20 years. So this is quite an in-depth study about the effects of, vitamin D serum levels in the bloodstream or lack of it. When comparing adults with the lowest one-third of vitamin D levels to those in the highest third, subjects had a 35% higher risk of mortality from cardiovascular disease or any cause over the follow-up period. Adults with the lowest levels also had a 30% greater risk of non-vascular, non-cancer death and a 14% higher risk of death from cancer. Evidence from these observation studies found significant inverse associations between serum vitamin D levels and the risks of death from cardiovascular disease, lymphoma, upper digestive tract cancer, and respiratory diseases. In addition, when the form of vitamin D supplementation was taken into account, vitamin D3 significantly reduced all-cause mortality by 11%. Vitamin D2, on the other hand, did not appear to have any significant effect on mortality. Researchers noted that further studies should be done to determine the optimal dose and duration of supplementation and to confirm whether vitamin D3 affects the mortality risk differently than vitamin D2. This was put together by Raviv Chaudhuri et al. Vitamin D and the Risk of Cause-Specific Death Systematic Review and Meta-Analysis of Observational Cohort and Randomized Intervention Studies, British Medicine Journal. This came out in 2014 and published April 1st of 2014. So, all the scaring of not going out into the sun, not getting enough sun because you're going to get cancer from the sun is the sunshine, or vitamin D, I should say, is a sunshine vitamin. When the sun hits your skin for a period of at least 10 minutes, up to 30 minutes without sunblock, without any interfering substance, that is going to impede your body's ability to manufacture vitamin D and the cholesterol, surprise, to conduct the vitamin D into your body so your body systems can use it properly. We have a problem. People have summer flus, they have winter flus, they have all kinds of respiratory ailments, all these types of things which really could easily be avoided if you are deliberate about spending an appropriate amount of time out in the sun. If you're going to spend time out in the sun, more than a half an hour or more than an hour during a hotter part of the day, yes, do put on sunblock. I'm not suggesting that anyone burns, but what I am suggesting or giving you food for thought here is to realize that this obsessive avoidance of the sun, if you look at the rise of cancer in the United States of America and the propaganda against going into the sun and using sunblock and the sun suddenly being bad for you, you'll see an incredible spike in the incidence of cancer as opposed to natural occurring vitamin D and sunshine. Now, for people that have darker skins, black people, people of color, etc., they are even more at risk for a lack of vitamin D. So, this whole idea of getting enough sunshine, I also want to bring up this point, is kind of mythological at this point, because the reality is most people don't really spend much time in the sun at all. Most people get up to go to work before the sun rises. They get in their car, blocked from the sun. They get out of the car. They're lucky if they even have a window in their office cubicle. They're in there 8 hours a day. If they're taking a lunch break, maybe you get to run out to the deli for 10 minutes to get your food, to scarf that down, but you're not exactly standing out there soaking up some sunshine. Then it's quitting time. You go home, you get back in your car, you go back into a building, or if you decide you're going to go out and hang out with some friends, where do you go? You go to a bar. You go to another dark interior. So this is something that I want to raise the awareness and raise the consciousness of, so you can take some free and natural steps to increasing your vitamin D3 serum levels, so you can avoid a lot of this medical drama, which doesn't need to happen. There's a lot of research out there. I suggest you also can look up PubMed.com, PubMed.com. There are clinical studies being published all the time. I'm going to continue with this series. That's your tips from Ekayani, your health and lifestyle coach, out here on this sunny day in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. And you take care now.